This is Muskan Fatima of CSC branch B section. Today we are going to discuss about Python Tech Talk. The topic for Python Tech Talk is what is Python PIP. So let's get started. What is Python PIP? Introduction to Python PIP installation uses and access. Getting started with PIP. So, what exactly does PIP do? Let's know about it. Pip is a package manager for Python. That means it's a tool that allows you to install and manage libraries and dependencies that aren't distributed as part of the standard library. As we know, Python has a built in function, that is, it has many built in libraries already presented in. But there are some libraries which we need for our projects when there is a necessity. So pip helps us in doing that. How to use pip? Now let's get to know about how to use pip. First, we have to find pip on our system, running pip as a module, using pip in a Python and virtual environment, reinstalling pip when error occurs, installing packages with pip as per our requirement, separating production and development dependencies. So now we already know that pip is automatically installed when we download Python. Now, finding pip on your system. How do you find pip on our system? The Python 3 installer gives you the option to install pip when installing Python on your system. In fact, the option to install pip with Python is checked by default. So pip should be ready for you to use after installing Python. You can verify that pip is available by looking for the pip 3 executable on your specific system. For Windows, it is a Windows command prompt c semicolon slash greater than where pip3. The where command in Windows will show you where you can find the executable of pip3. If Windows can't find an executable named pip3, then you can also try looking for pip without the 3 at the end. That is, we can easily find pip without any problem. Now comes the turn on some Linux systems like Ubuntu. Pip comes in a separate package called Python 3 pip, which you need to install with sudo apt install python 3 pip. It's not installed by default with the interpreter. So the which command on Linux system and Mac OS shows you where the pip3 binary file is located. The folder shown here, the shell, we should be finding which command prompt. On Windows and Unix systems, pip3 may be found in more than one location. This can happen when you have multiple Python versions installed. If you can't find pip in any location in your system, then you may consider reinstalling pip. That is the common solution for it. Instead of running your system pip directly, you can also run it as a Python module. In the next section, you'll learn how. So pip is a Python manager. It is a Python library and we can use it easily. Pip install as a pip gives us a lot of free time after installation. Now running pip as a module. When you run your system pip directly, the command itself doesn't reveal which Python version pip belongs to. This unfortunately means that you could use pip to install a package into the side packages of an old Python version without noticing. To prevent this from happening, you can run pip as a Python module as shown in the diagram. Notice that you use Python 3m to run pip. The -m switch tells Python to run a module as an executable of the Python 3 interpreter. This way, you can ensure that your system default Python 3 version runs the pip command. If you want to learn more about this way of running pip, then you can read Brett Cannon's insightful article about the advantages of using pip Python 3m pip. So now the third is using pip in a Python virtual environment. How to use pip in a Python virtual environment? As we know, we should be changing the environment variable to get all our documents saved or be used. To avoid installing packages directly into your system, Python installation, you can use a virtual environment. A virtual environment provides an isolated Python interpreter for your project. Any packages that you use inside the environment will be independent of your system interpreter. This means that you can keep your project's dependencies separate from other projects and the system at large. So now, using pip inside a virtual environment has three main advantages. You can be sure that you are using the right Python version for the project at hand. Be confident that you are referring to the correct pip instance when running pip or pip3. Use a specific package version for your project without affecting other projects. So Python 3 has a built-in Venv module for creating virtual environments. This module helps you create virtual environments with an isolated Python installation. Once you have activated the virtual environment, then you can install packages into this environment. The packages that you install into one virtual environment are isolated from all other environments on your system. That is, it won't affect any other system. Now, fourth point, that is reinstalling pip when error occurs. So we can't definitely say that we won't have any occurs when we use any system, any project and system. When you run the pip command, you may get an error. In some cases, your specific error message will be dependent on your operating system. Some of the error messages are shown below. Getting errors like this ones shown above can be frustrating because pip is vital for installing and managing external packages. Some common problems with pip are related to how this tool was installed on your system. Although the error messages for various systems differ, they'll point to the same problem. Your system can't find pip in the locations listed in your path variable. On Windows, path is part of the system variables. On Mac OS and Linux, path is part of the environmental variables. The system variables and environment variables are completely different from each other, so you may be confused in how to understand it. Now, the ensure pip module doesn't access the internet. The latest version of pip that ensure pip can install is the version that's bundled in your environment's Python installation. For example, running ensure pip with Python 3.10 installs pip 21.2.3. If you want a newer pip version, then you need to first run ensure pip. Afterward, you can update pip manually to its latest version. Another way to fix your pip installation is to use the getpip.py script. The getpip.py file contains a full copy of pip as an encoded zip file. You can download getpip.py directly from the PIP Bootstrap page. This script will install the latest version of pip, set up tools and wheel in your current Python environment. If you only want to install pip, then you can add the no setup tools and no wheel options to your command. So here's how we are doing the reinstallation of pip. Now, after confirming that pip is usable for us, pip is okay for us, and reinstalling it after errors, we for our use for the need of our projects install packages with pip. So installing packages with pip, how to do that? Python is considered a battery included language. This means that the Python standard library contains an extensive set of packages and modules to help developers with their coding projects. At the same time, Python has an active community that contributes an even more extensive set of packages that can help you with your development needs. These packages are published to the Python package index, also known as PYPI. Using the Python package index PYPI, using a custom package index, so we can install packages with pip using the Python package index PYPY, using a custom package index, installing packages from your GitHub repositories, installing packages in editable mode to ease development. And now we are done with this part. The most important point, that is how to use pip and why to use pip. We have two things we do while we code. As a programmer, we need to understand two things, that production is different from development. So we should be separating the production and development dependencies. Not all packages that you install during the development of your applications will be production dependencies. For example, you probably want to test your application, so you need a test framework. A popular framework for testing is PyTest. You want to install it in your development environment, but you don't want it in your production environment because it isn't a production dependency. So freezing requirements for production. You created the production development requirement files and added them to source control. These files use flexible version specifiers to ensure that you leverage bug fixes published by your dependencies. You have also tested your application and are now ready to deploy it to production. You know that all the tests pass and application works with the dependencies that you used in your development process. So probably want to ensure that you deploy identical versions of dependencies to production. The current version specifiers don't guarantee the identical versions will be deployed to production. So you want to freeze the production requirements before releasing your project. So we should be taking care of it. Now, what's the conclusion of all this? What is PIP, how to download it, how to get back to it, and everything has been discussed. So now let's go to the conclusion part. We install Python pip for easy access to different modules, my installation of different modules, and getting ease of coding without errors. Python provides us with many new features, but these modules in pip are very helpful to perform any program without any massive lines. Many productional and developmental programmers use pip for the ease of access, which proves its necessity in programming. Also, after getting the latest versions very well updated than the before, pip is still useful but getting less in demand, but that doesn't matter. Its need will never end. So let's end the session and thank you.